Slight delay.
It's like Diablo inside of Diablo. We're going to live on live at 12:30? Okay. Oh, really? All right, cool. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to the little pre-show here for our live event. We're going to be talking about liquid cooling. If you guys see us here on the channel, or you guys, of course, are seeing us here, we'll have some questions. Need some questions from you guys.
Yep.
Go over some liquid cooling stuff. Show you guys some bends and everything like that, Give you guys a little bit of experience, talk about some stuff.
Should be pretty fun.
And then everybody, this is Anthony.
What's up, guys?
My name's Thermal Mike. I'm from Thermal Take. He's, of course, Anthony from Newegg.
Yes,
and we're both here to just kind of go over and talk a little bit about liquid cooling.
Yep.
What it takes, some of the tips and tricks. I can show you guys some of the things that I've learned over the time on try to make it easier. Because it's really interesting what little things that you pick up are like, oh wow, that makes it so much easier.
Yeah. All the little tricks that you go through and you find out as you're assembling your first build, it's really cool to see later. Yeah.
That learning curve, man. That learning curve. But it's like, you watch the videos on YouTube. We've been doing liquid cooling videos, demonstrations like this, so that way people can start to go, oh, okay, I kind of like that. Maybe I don't want to go that crazy, but I don't really know where to start. So we just kind of want to give people a place to start or get an idea on what you're going to be jumping into. Yeah. I went to Home Depot and I bought a piece of wood and then I just cut it out and I kind of rounded the edges. I actually fit this to fit in one of our travel suitcases. So when I do events like this and everything, this boom fits right in the suitcase perfect so that I can, go and show this to Canada and stuff like that. But it's just a little makeup board, and this is our bending kit that we have on here. So these are mandrels that basically allow you and help you with making the shapes, which, you can do stuff by hand or you can do stuff with a mandrel. They'll give you more of a precise bend every time. When you got something for a simple 90, going from A to B, or 45s, 180s are kind of cool. You can do some neat little hoops and stuff, to kind of break up the straight lines.
Yeah.
And then the 360 here does a bunch of neat little stuff. So
the mandrels definitely help out a lot more.
Starting in 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
All right.
5, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, live from BlizzCon 2016. My name is Thermal Mike from Thermal Take, and I got my main man Anthony here from Newegg. What's up, guys? We're here at the Anaheim Convention Center at BlizzCon 2016, and hey, I'm super excited.
Yeah, man, me too.
We were on day 2 here at BlizzCon. We got a great turnout. Everybody's out here, and we're here to talk about liquid cooling.
Yep.
Go over the tips, some tricks, how to do some liquid cooling, change up a couple of things, introduce you guys to some of our new products that we're just showing here for the first time this weekend, and stay tuned. We got some prizes, some giveaways to go, and we'll definitely also want some questions from you. So if you're online on our live feed there, throw a question down in the chat. We'll be happy to see what we can do to answer those questions. And then same for our audience here that's live at BlizzCon. Woo! Thank you guys for coming out. So I want to first start off by saying big thanks to our sponsors here. We have Intel, we have Asus, Newegg, of course, Thermal Take, and of course Blizzard and BlizzCon. So we want to say big thanks to those guys for helping us with our builds, helping us be here so we can show you guys what it takes to liquid cool and the fun stuff that you can have, doing that DIY experience, being able to build something that you can make your own, kind of like an art type of thing. I mean, when I built my PC, I was really excited. I was like, oh, cool, I made that really neat bend. It worked out really well. I mean, you did one just recently too.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, and I mean, it was my first actual open loop with hard tubing, and it was a whole lot of fun. I mean, when you're first putting it together, you're like, oh man, there's a lot of work. But then after, it's just like, you know what, that was really fun. I kind of want to do another one. I mean,
and the great part is you learn a lot too, and if you're, kind of an enthusiast like me and Anthony here, and you just kind of want to get into stuff and then learn about how to do it, not just to get it done and over with and get gaming. Of course, that's important. But
yeah. I mean, that's the end result right there.
That's the end result. But being able to see what you made and what you can make with it, and then what options you have to expand other stuff that you want to upgrade. You're an upgrade freak like me and Anthony. It's like new card comes out, boom, boom. I mean, I've wanted to buy a 1080 like I don't know how many times
Me too, man.
to do a quick upgrade, but I'm
That
just
constant
trying
upgrade, it's never done.
to hold it tight,
Yep.
So we got a variety of stuff here that we're going to be talking about, and I guess we'll start with just kind of going over the basics of
Yeah,
water
yeah.
cooling. So what is water cooling, and what does it do for you and your PC? So when you look at water cooling, everybody's pretty familiar with your standard AIO. That will give your radiator, your fans. It's got the cool tubes. Mount the pump and the block on there. Pretty straightforward. It's just kind of like installing an air cooler almost nowadays. I mean, most people are pretty familiar with
definitely.
that. So
Really straightforward.
an AIO cooler, can also be, fairly maintenance-free. I mean, us
Yep.
at Thermaltake, we offer a variety of AIO coolers, RGB options and stuff like that with our Water 3.0 series.
Yep.
But we do want to kind of go to the next level. Us here at Thermaltake, we want to branch into a new era of DIY, like modding esports.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
Kind of getting people into like the, hey, I'm going to build this, I'm going to build that. It's kind of like building a hot rod for a PC. And it's a lot of fun doing it too, and then you can show your buddies. They get to see that. I mean, everybody's posting everything online nowadays. And you see build logs, people doing some crazy stuff now. I mean, people are doing sculpting, I've seen, and crazy tube work and stuff like that.
I've seen some crazy builds, and I mean, AIOs are great, but there are certain limitations that they have, like you were saying. I mean, they're not expandable.
Yep.
And if I want to cool my GPU and just not have to worry about any thermal throttling whatsoever, you really can't do that with an AIO. There's very, very few cards out there where you can actually kind of do that somewhat, but it's not the same. You don't have that nice aesthetic.
Yeah,
go with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, AIOs don't get us wrong. I mean, an AIO cooler is very convenient and definitely
Super
does give you great
convenient.
performance. I mean, you get great performance out of an AIO cooler, but when you look at a DIY aspect of like a full liquid cooling system, you do have those advantages of being able to expand. Like if I want to start with just cooling my CPU for the time being, and I want to maybe do like a soft tube build where it's not necessarily getting into like a PETG type of tube install like this stuff, but doing like a soft tubing thing, I mean, you can always start there and then build up from the ground up. Getting your radiator, getting your pump, getting your CPU block can just be the foundation for something that you can grow into within, say 6 months to a year.
Yep.
Adding on here and there, and getting into something like a full AIO option and being able to swap that out for a DIY option. I mean, it allows you to be able to, pick the color of coolant that you want. I mean, there's a variety of colors, and we'll also be talking about that too. We got some really cool coolant to show. I mean, you can see right here, one of our sneak peeks that we wanted to show here for BlizzCon was our new black color. So this is our new opaque black. We're really proud to show this off because we think it gives a really cool look. I mean, we know that there are options out there to get colored tubing, but you can't get that black swirl look and the reservoir is clean, or being able to see that black coolant moving in the GPU block. I mean, I think that's my favorite.
I'm super impressed. I mean, I keep staring at this line right here, and I can see the coolant moving. Most opaque coolants, you really don't see that. And
Yeah.
I really wasn't expecting that with the black coolant, so I was pretty surprised.
And I really like the little tornado type, little twist effect that you get down here too with the dark
Definitely.
color coolants. And it's just one of many colors that you can use to customize your PC to, give it its own unique look. I mean, everybody's got white motherboards, black motherboards, they got RGB motherboards nowadays. So we want to be able to bring all those colors together, be able to fit that build that you want to do. Like if you want to do an all red and black build, for example, or you want to go green and black, or white on white, white and black.
Or just black on black.
Or just black on black.
All blacked out.
And doing that black on black looks real good, by the way, too.
Yeah, definitely.
But so with the liquid cooling, it allows you to be able to say, if I want to do like a CPU cool now and I want to add the GPU in later, I can. Or I can leave the GPU card with the stock air cooler on it, let it run for a little bit, let it break in, make sure everything's cool, and then switch over to
I actually
the cooler.
prefer that. It's nice. I like being able to see what my frequencies and clock speeds, all of that, along with the temperatures are on air cooling.
Yeah.
And then after I make that switch, just seeing that nice improvement. No more thermal throttling that you have to worry about. A nice, up to around a 30-degree drop. I mean, I went through about a 30-degree drop, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I went, because one of the things that you want to look at when you're going to water cooling, I mean, before you kind of put everything together and put water in it for the first time, or coolant, for example, it's easy to just take the motherboard, set it on a piece of cardboard, use that stock Intel cooler that Intel gives you that most people are, oh, I don't need that. I got a new cooler, I'm going to put something else on, I'm not going to use that. But use it.
I have quite a few of those.
Yeah. take those. I know I built up some too. Take some of those, put that on there, put the card in, post it up. Does it boot up into the BIOS? I mean, you don't have to install Windows, but hey, do you at least get a display out of everything? I mean, it really helps you to not be frustrated after putting all this hard work into building something and then, oh, I got no display, what's wrong? And then you got to tear it all down. So a lot of the prep, is real important to think about. Dry test everything. Take your system, just put the stock air cooler on it. Don't worry about overclocking, don't worry about gaming just yet unless you want to. And then just, give it a good test drive,
Yeah, and I mean, speaking about prep, one thing that really helped me out is when I actually had all the parts to start my system, I actually sat there for a good bit of time just trying to plan out in my head, just envision what I wanted it to look like, how I wanted to actually, route all the tubing to the different sections, and that helped out a lot versus just trying to start and be like, all right, this one's gonna connect to this one, and then later finding out, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
And that brings up a good point too, is that when you're looking to build that next system, or even if you're upgrading your system, is the chassis or the case that you have gonna fit what you're gonna wanna put in? I mean, you wanna put a huge radiator in there, well, is your case gonna fit it? And then you gotta think about it too, there's gotta be a fan on there. That's gonna take up space. If you're mounting the radiator on the top or you're mounting it on the front, I mean, you could have some clearance issues. So it's real important to look at the specifications by the case manufacturer. For example, us here at Thermaltake, we list out all the radiator sizes, how many fans you can fit, what connections are possible, storage, what motherboard size. I mean, do you know that you're getting an eATX motherboard and that your case supports eATX versus just ATX, and what nightmares you could have if you don't pay attention?
Oh yeah, I mean, one right off the top of my head is I've seen a lot of times on most cases where they'll top mount the radiator, they'll have trouble with this guy right here.
Yep.
That CPU power. You
Yeah,
get a
the
rad
CPU
that's just way too wide, and then later you install it and it's like, oh, I can't plug that in.
I have to take
little bit of
something
an
out to
issue.
get the cable in there or something like that. So it's definitely important to look and plan what you're going to do first. What case do you want to go? That's your foundation. That's going to give you the options. And then you need to decide on that to figure out what you're going to put in there. Maybe you might want to go back and look at what liquid cooling you want to do, and then go look at cases. Or look at cases first and then decide what liquid cooling to put in there. It's kind of up to you. I mean, I deal with a good amount of people that will have lists for me, and they're like, man, what does this look like? Does this look good? And I'm like, well, is everything going to fit for what you do? And I kind of go over a lot of that because people plan. People really like to plan this stuff. I mean, it's a big investment. I mean, this is not, a console kind of purchase thing. I mean, you're definitely looking to use this for a long time, be able to upgrade it, be able to get, your money's worth out of it and get good performance just the same.
Yeah, I mean, I start with looking at the case first, so then I can see what areas I have and what options I have for cooling capabilities. Because I mean, if I want to go really crazy on trying to cool, but the case that I might be looking at doesn't support the radiators I want to run, it kind of means I might need to look at another case at that point.
Yeah, and it's definitely something to always keep in mind, is just making sure that what you're going to get is going to work for what you want. Now, right over here, this is our new Core P3. We've had our Core P5 out for a while now, and we've introduced the Core P3 earlier this year. And today, this one right here is our Core P3 Red Edition. So this is a brand new color that we're bringing out into the market. We have black, we have white, and we have green already. So the red one is going to be adding a fourth color option for us for the Core P series. And it gives a nice, mix and flow. I mean, we paired this up with the Asus Maximus 8 motherboard and the Asus Strix graphics card. Again, big props to Asus for helping us out with the build here and giving us some awesome hardware. And to add on to that, we partnered with Asus for this water block. This is a specific water block designed specifically for the Asus Strix line for the 1070 and 1080 cards. And we also do have other varieties of water blocks available for other products as well.
My quick 2 cents on the P3, when you guys came out with the white edition, I loved it. I thought it was the most just gorgeous version of that case, and then I saw this. I thought it was a custom job at first. Like, I thought you stripped this whole thing down and just repainted it red, and then you guys told me it was gonna be a stock color. I was like, wow, yes. But I think there was actually one other thing about this case that made it special that we didn't really talk over.
Yes.
Can I bring this up?
Let's bring it up. Let's show them. Okay, so I know some of you guys might, already saw this that came in way early, but one thing that we're going to be adding to not just our Core P series line, but be adding to some of our other products is tempered glass. So this right here, the original Core P3s did come with an acrylic panel, which you can see some of our demo systems over there if you want to check that out. Well, this is our new tempered glass panel. So we're going to be offering the panels here pre-installed with the case so that you can get this. This is a 5mm thick tempered glass, so it's extra thick and extra durable. It's safety glass. So it's designed to be able to be safe, and it also gives a really cool look. I mean, we put a little bit of a light tint to it. It gives that really awesome feel when the system's off, and it just gives there that darkness look, and then when you turn it on, everything just lives up.
Yeah, I was really, really impressed by that, just with the tinted color. Not to mention, it'll actually diffuse a couple of the brighter LEDs that you might have.
Yeah, and it really brings out, if you add LED strips or LED fans to it, it really gives a nice, good look. And we have rubber grommets that are here that support on both sides. So it's basically a rubber-to-rubber contact too. So there's no metal-to-glass contact, so no issues there with that. And the great part about it is it installs real easy. With the glass panel, this will install real easy onto it. And for our users at home, and if you guys maybe have already bought in a Core P5 or Core P3, we'll be having upgrade kits available as well. So if you've already got the case and you're like, oh man, I missed out on that, don't worry, Thermaltake's got you covered. We'll be having some upgrade kits available too, so that way you guys can upgrade to tempered glass.
I know a lot of people that are going to be pretty happy for that.
I definitely am real excited about it. I mean, it looks really cool. So with our Core P3, I mean, you can see we have our liquid cooling setup here. I went a little crazy on the tube work just to kind of give you guys an idea of, how pliable this stuff is.
Just a little bit.
Being able to show you that, I mean, there's a real, almost endless option for you with being able to bend stuff and shapes to just make it a little bit more creative going from A to B. I mean, I could easily just run a straight piece up and in. I could, and it would work just the same. I'm gonna get the same performance. I'm not gonna have too many issues, as long as I don't go too crazy, where, say you're running way too long of tubes and it's, extending out where it's kind of a little overdone, per
Or
se.
a pretzel, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit, because you don't want to stress your pump out just the same. And to kind of go into that, this right here is our PR15 D5 pump. So we're using the D5 pump, which is, pretty industry standard. I mean, I think a lot of people really, rely on that D5 pump. It gives great reliability, longevity. I mean, I've known people that have used the same pump for many years, for not just the first build, but the second or third sometimes. And with that pump, it also adds performance too. Because the one thing you got to think about is you do need to push that liquid. It doesn't have to go real crazy like a garden hose type fast, but you do want to be able to have the coolant properly flow, not just through your radiator, but through your water blocks. I mean, are you going to run a single card? You're going to run 4 cards. You got to think about that extra pressure it's going to put going through all those little micro channels to get everything properly cooled and being able to push that properly so that way everything flows and you get a nice flow return. I mean, something like this that you can see, I got a great flow return, and I'm not even on the top setting. I mean, I think I set this about 3 out of 5, because it's a 5-speed adjustable pump. Because you don't need it going too crazy. It's not going to make that big of a difference. Most of your difference in your temperatures is going to be on your fans. So you'll have your ring fans. For example, these are our new TT Premium ring fans, and these are a high static pressure fan. They're designed for radiators. They're also capable of being used for your case as well. So, and we include screws for both. So you can actually use the screws included with the fans to mount them straight to your radiator. You don't have to worry about getting specialty screws for the most part. And with those fans, they will give you proper airflow to push the air through that radiator, because the coolant's going to be coming down one side and coming back up the other. Similar to like how, everybody's got a radiator on the car. They got that big fan that's right there. It's cooling the coolant that's going through your motor. It's the same type of concept, folks. I mean, you can just kind of think about that. You've got to get proper flow of the coolant, and then you also have to get proper airflow to cool that coolant at the same time. And a lot of it's real easy. I mean, you can tell temperatures. If there's a problem, I mean, you should be able to easily see it in your temperatures. I mean, something like a CPU can run, ambient temperatures, like 29 Celsius to 32 Celsius, I mean, which is basically the coldest it's going to get, best case scenario for the temperature in the room.
Yeah, and I mean, if you were running air cooling previous to that first time booting up and then seeing 29 degrees and it's just chilling there, that's really amazing. I mean, you get used to seeing, higher temperatures, 50s, 60s, and then you switch over to water cooling, it's just 29. It's like, all right, is the program not reporting correctly?
Is it underclocking the CPU? Is it not running at what? And then you're like, okay, I go ahead and check, and I go, oh yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, and for the pump wise, I've noticed, at least for myself, that 3 out of 5 is kind of like a sweet spot right there. I mean, I'm running 2 radiators, I have 2 blocks running, and it's still a perfect amount of flow.
And you get a little bit better use out of your pump. You're not stressing your pump 100% all the time. Give it a little bit of headroom. It'll last longer for you.
Yeah, I have to say, I did set it to 5 when I first started out, and 5 is pretty crazy.
5 is pretty crazy.
It can really move that coolant. I was pretty surprised. Yeah.
But there is a good point to it though, because it is a high performance pump. If you are going to be doing some high end liquid cooling builds, dual radiators or more, you're running 4-way SLI, 2 CPUs, stuff like that. I mean, you get real enthusiast high end.
RAM, the whole motherboard,
Yeah.
everything, all of
Yeah, when you look at chipset cooling to RAM cooling and stuff like that, that 5 does help.
Yeah.
And that is something you need to think about, with what you're going to do. Because, if it's standard CPU cooling, is that going to work for you today? Is that going to work for you tomorrow? Being able to, kind of get an idea of what you want to do with the build later on. Because I can easily take this cooling out and then put in a new motherboard, put in a new graphics card. I mean, the water blocks, for the most part, will fit. I mean, water blocks nowadays usually fit just about any socket type, and they have additional brackets to be able to switch it from one to the other. So as you upgrade, you just more or less either keep the same bracket or switch the bracket, and all you're really looking at doing is doing the tubing over again. And in a way, for me, I mean, that's fun, because then I get to make something completely different now. I can take all that tubing out, I can do something totally different and give it a totally new look. It just kind of depends. I could change the coolant color.
Definitely.
You have a lot of options there, right?
Yep.
So, to talk a little bit about the tubing. So this is PETG tubing. This is our Thermaltake PETG. This is a 16 millimeter OD tubing. So it's actually quite large. This is a lot larger in diameter than you would see in some systems where maybe the tubing's a little bit smaller, like the 12 millimeter. It looks a little bit more like a McDonald's straw. It's not necessarily limits you per se, but
It's not like it's bad, it's just that nice beefy tubing right there. It just looks so much better.
a thicker tubing can give you a lot different look, and you get a really cool look out of having it. Like as you said, it's a little bit beefier, and you get the coolant moving through it and everything too. It helps with any restriction issues and stuff like that, but for the most part you should be fine, because you got to think, the tubing, it's still going through radiators, it's still going through water blocks and everything, so the tubing size is not critical to be like, oh hey, I need a 1-inch tube on this guy in order for me to not have a restriction flowing, right?
One other thing I really like about this tubing is the wall diameter, that wall thickness.
Yeah, great point.
Super great wall
point.
thickness.
So with the tubing that we have, and it will vary between whose tubing you'll purchase, is how thick the wall is, as far as just how thick the actual tubing wall for the durability of what the tubing can do. I mean, this stuff won't shatter on you. It's very, very durable. You're not going to have a leak from this. It's not going to get a pinhole or something where it's going to leak. Your leaks are mostly, if any, will happen with the fitting. And the important part is making sure you get the right fitting that's going to give you the best seal, and it's going to work good for you, not just for the first couple of months, but maybe a couple of years.
Yeah. My other favorite advantage about that tubing, and I might be jumping a little ahead right here, is how well it works with these new LED fittings.
Oh, okay.
It straight up just runs like a fiber optic channel almost, and I've been so surprised how far the light will actually travel through this tubing, even with all the extra bends. Yeah,
when I went to bend this little twisty straw thing here to kind of show you guys, I was kind of curious myself when I did it, because I was like, it's going to be going around bends, it's going to be going around loops. Am I going to get that still straight beam of light to go through? And I mean, I know it's kind of bright, but I mean, you can still see that you get a good amount of light bleed going through from end to end, because there's 8 LEDs on each side. And the cool part about this is that it will come with a controller that allows me to change the color. So I can sit here and I can change it to orange, yellow, purple. I mean, I think you can see it a little bit green, like that. And some of the colors right here, there's brightness adjustments to it too. And it gives a different aspect for people that are thinking like, well, what color do I want to go with or what I want to do? You can go neutral and go with like an RGB option, and then you can basically change the color anytime you want.
Yep.
I mean,
that's a really nice feature about that.
It is, because I mean, the fans, we have fans that are RGB. You can pick just about any color under the sun. I mean, motherboards, like our Asus board over there, has got the RGB Aurora in it. That can change any color you want. I mean, one week you could go with the green build, one week you go with the red build. It's really all up to you.
Yep.
And to give you that flexibility to be able to do some, interesting things. And this looks amazing in the dark, because, we're not all, most of us are kind of a little bit of night owls here, and we game at night, me and Anthony play. And I mean, it really gives a cool aspect of seeing all that stuff flowing and then getting that LED cool.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm running some of the Thermaltake transparent green UV coolant.
Yeah.
And I set my LEDs to blue, and just the coolant sits there and just glows at night.
Yeah.
I can shut off every single other LED I have and just leave those on. They just have that cool, like green radioactive glow. It's really nice.
Yeah, and the thing I really like a lot about it too is that you see how the coolant kind of will move in the system, because as this is lit up and it's at night, and it's actually moving, because this isn't moving. It really looks, it gives it added little touch to it, seeing that flow going through there with the lights and everything. And these come in we offer these in a pack of 6. So you can buy this with the controller, and it comes with 6 of these fittings, because that is basically kind of your magic number. When you look at water cooling, you got 3 major components. You got your radiator, you got your reservoir and pump, and you got your CPU block. So then, of course, for each one of those, you got an in and an out for each one. I mean, most of us here, probably from California, all but in and out. I love that place. Being able to go in and out for each part, so you got 2, 4, 6, that's why we offer this in a 6-pack solution. So it can be something real easy. They all plug into just a simple controller here, and then you can change and control the options of the color and be able to do a bunch of stuff. There's brightness on here, and there's even like a spectrum mode where it will actually cycle through a series of colors. As you see right here, it was blue. Now it's going a little green. It just kind of does a little bit of a fade to it. Just adding a little bit extra to giving you the lighting option.
If your timing's pretty good and you're running the ring fans too, you can just set them all to change colors at the same time.
Yeah, it actually.
Really nice,
I've been doing that stuff at home. It's really, really cool. So we have the tubing. We've talked about our RGB fittings that we have here. Now let's talk a little bit about the regular fittings. So right here, I have, this is kind of a specialty fitting, but I wanted to show you guys this because it helps solve a lot of, talking about a bunch of different things. This is a dual compression fitting. So if you're not somebody that's looking into doing the tube bending, or you don't want to get the parts for this stuff, but you still want the look, we offer fitting options that basically only require you to cut the tubing. So that way I can take a straight piece of tube, I can take this and I can plug one piece into here, I can take another piece and I can plug it into here, and then now I've made a 90 bend by using a fitting and the tubing without having to heat it or get anything extra, and I'm just cutting the ends here to here to fit my components to go from one side to the other. And we offer these in 90s, there's in 45s, we have them in chrome, we have them in black. And one of the great things about Thermaltake's compression fittings is we offer a triple O-ring design. So this means that there is a compression sleeve, as you'd see here, that you would remove. And then once you remove that, there's then an additional O-ring that comes out of here, this being your 3rd O-ring, and then inside the fitting, there's actually 2 more O-rings in there to protect it. So when you're taking your tube and you're pushing your tube into the fitting, if you get it seated all the way to the back, that will give you 2 O-rings plus a 3rd with the sleeve, compressing this into the fitting, keeping it nice and secure. So compression fittings, very important. There's a lot of fittings out there in the market. Don't go with an adapter that doesn't have a compression on it. It might or might not be a good choice. It's kind of up to you. Us here at Thermaltake, we offer compression fittings, and I highly recommend them, mostly because it's a triple O-ring design, and it's going to be one of the most important parts, besides, I would say, probably your pump and your cooling performance, to make sure you don't have any leaks after you put all that work into building your system and, just being able to not have to worry.
Yeah, because I mean that is a really big worry. I recently had to move my PC, and I mean that's always one thing you kind of stress about. Is it going to leak?
Yep.
You're always a little bit worried about that. Myself personally, I was really happy. I got it to its final destination, no problems, nothing. And yeah, it just goes back to how well those fittings actually hold that tube in place.
Yeah. Because I mean, you build that system, and then okay, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to wake up. Is it still going to be in one piece when I wake up? I know some people out there. Yeah, they've had oh, am I going to wake up and is this going to be all over the floor or anything? So making sure you get the right components for what's going to fit for what you want to do is definitely important, and make sure you take advantage of that. Don't get a lower end fitting when you can spend a couple extra bucks on something that's going to be safer, last longer, and then definitely be reusable too.
Yeah, because like you said earlier, if anything's going to leak, it's generally going to be a fitting.
For the most part. And it also brings up a good point with like the radiator, for example. I mean, it's just a radiator, it's a box, but it is also important to put some water through it. Not regular water, but something like just some regular distilled water. Before you actually mount that radiator, fill it up with some distilled water, give it a good shake, dump it out, kind of hold it, make sure you don't see water just pouring out of it. It's just another thing to plan for and think about when you're doing all this, because you don't want to get to this point and have the problem. So that's why we want to definitely bring a lot of this up to you guys, to just kind of spend a little time talking about the planning and the basics, and then we're going to get to definitely some more of the fun stuff here. Oh, yeah, you got a question? Yeah, come on up to the mic and ask us a question, man.
Hello? Okay, so you mentioned something about replacing the fittings. How often would you have to replace them if they were to go bad?
Replacing the fans?
The fittings.
Oh, the fittings.
Yeah.
The fittings.
The fittings.
Well, fittings
I really
are pretty
haven't
durable.
Never had any issues.
I mean, as long as you, well, you know, and it's a good point. We'll talk about that in a little bit as far as the one thing that can go wrong with the fitting is as you're doing your tube work and you're kind of mapping out what you're going to do, this is going to be going in and out a bunch of times because you're going to be like test fitting, and doing that. So
Yep.
what you do to the edge of the tubing here to sand it, because I'll use like some sandpaper or some other products to smooth this out so that way I don't damage those O-rings. Because this being a sharp edge and you're just pushing this in here, if you cut those O-rings and everything, I mean, that can definitely be a potential leak issue. Not
Yep.
just the first time, but you know, maybe the 7th time that you're putting it in there. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So great question.
Yeah, another really good tool is actually,
Here you go, man. Thanks for the question.
another good tool is actually that deburring tool.
Yeah.
That comes with the bending kit. I mean, they're like you were saying earlier, the connection between these fittings and then the LED fittings is quite a bit different. For the LED fittings, there's that inner part. So I mean, using that deburring tool, just making sure you have that nice beveled edge, it just slides on really
Yeah, we'll
easy.
talk about
Yeah.
that here in a little bit. Now, are we looking to do a quick break?
Yeah.
We're gonna go to a quick break here. So we're gonna take a quick break here at BlizzCon 2016 at the Newegg booth, and we'll be right back after a message from our sponsors.
Hi guys, I really like fast-paced games, and if you do too, then the new MSI GT73 VR, the world's first gaming notebook with a 17-inch 120Hz 5ms display, may just be the notebook that you're looking for. Here's why. Higher frequency means more frames per second, and a lack of motion blur means surroundings look smooth and natural. In FPS games like Counter-Strike or Battlefield, you can react to enemies and reload or switch weapons faster. With reduced input lag, clicking and shooting are fully synchronized. Also, many details become clearly visible. In racing games like Need for Speed or Dirt, you have better control over your vehicle. Thanks to 5ms response time, the colors of the game environment change instantly from dark to bright and vice versa. With less flickering, your eyes won't feel that tired. Putting it short, it is a much more enjoyable experience. The GT73 VR has a wide viewing angle of 170 degrees. So that means when you're moving in front of your laptop, the image will not change. Let's make the long story short. 120Hz 5 milliseconds display is a substantial value to 94% NTSC color gamut and MSI True Color technology. After gaming on this for a long time, you will never want to go back to traditional gaming displays ever again.
Hey everybody, we're back here at BlizzCon 2016. I'm Thermal Mike from Thermaltake, and I got my main man Anthony here from Newegg, and we're talking about liquid cooling. We got lots of stuff going on here at BlizzCon, so we definitely appreciate you guys coming and spending some time with us here to be able to talk about some liquid cooling and answer your questions, and of course for our online audience as well. So if you have a question for us during the live feed here, let us know. Throw them down in those comments down there, and we'll definitely get to those questions. So I think we're going to start with our first question from Facebook.
Yeah, Philip Carr wants to know, what would you choose? Why would you choose liquid cooling over air cooling if you aren't overclocking?
Okay, so great question. So Philip was asking, what's the improvement? Like if I go water cooling versus air cooling, what am I going to get out of that? Well, I mean, when you look at air cooling, first off, for an example, I mean, definitely the first thing I think of is money. I mean, budget-wise and everything, going from liquid cooling to air cooling is going to definitely be a big difference. So that's going to be relying a lot on your budget and your investment that you're going to be able to put into your PC. Now, one of the great things about liquid cooling is you can always start with air. And then you can start with getting a basic air cooler, you know, run the standard graphics card cooler that's on the graphics card, and then maybe think about jumping to liquid cooling later. Just as what we covered earlier about, you know, making sure you get the right case that's going to be able to fit that. So say if you're in that boat right now and you want to go that way, is that case going to work for you, or do you have to kind of plan that in your budget for an upgrade project?
Yeah, that's a really important factor right there. Yep.
And then when I look at air cooling too, I mean, you know, air cooling performance is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing wrong. I mean, you know, we offer a variety of different air cooler solutions at Thermaltake, you know, that of course you can get right here at newegg.com, as well as all of our liquid cooling, but being able to do an air-cooled system versus a water-cooling system, there is some advantages. I mean, you can definitely get best case scenario temperatures for your products. It definitely helps with the sound as well. I mean, you know, being able to take away some of those fans, pump noise definitely is a lot better.
Well, I mean, one big thing for me at least that I've noticed is when I've had systems that ran air coolers, there's generally a point in time where you can feel that heat coming out the back.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because it's a reactive system. The CPU's heating up, the air cooler's then trying to get rid of the heat. Whereas with liquid cooling, it's kind of always cooling it. You know, it's going to keep it cool. You can sit there and put your hand behind your PC, even under full load, and you're really not going to feel like it's trying to melt your hand off right there, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, and you probably dealt with it too, where, you know, that air-cooled card, you know, you're benchmarking it, or you've been playing games for a while, you're afraid to touch the back of that thing.
They get
you know
really,
it's gonna
really
be
hot. Yeah.
You know, especially with some of the earlier cards, you know, that have been around, you know, I mean, they've improved a lot.
Oh yeah,
which has been
definitely,
great.
definitely. But
I
they
mean,
still get
still
somewhat
get pretty
hot.
hot. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
People are pretty comfortable with 70 Celsius. You know, I mean, that's a pretty average temperature under a full load type of GPU. But I mean, going to something like liquid cooling, I mean, you can drop that by like, what, 60% almost, 40%?
Yeah, just about. I mean, I'm running at 45 degrees under full load.
Yeah, and I barely hit 47 on not even 50 really, in game scenario stuff. You know, benching and everything's one thing, but I mean, the real world, what I'm really doing with it, you know, game-wise, I'm very impressed. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, coming back from the break here, we're gonna start talking a little bit about the tubing here. Now I have here an insert that is it's silicone based, so it's very durable. This is designed to be pulled. This is designed to keep its shape under heat, so that way this is not gonna expand when it gets hot or cold. It'll give it a little bit, but nothing where it's gonna get stuck in the tube. And then with that insert that you have, the other thing that you're gonna wanna mix with it is just some soapy water. There's some different varieties. I've seen people use olive oil. I've seen people use a couple of different varieties, but I still think just plain soapy water, you know, maybe not the fragrant stuff. Of course, I don't think it's gonna really matter, but you know, just your plain soapy water, just kind of mix it up here. What it does is the soap that's actually in the water, as I kind of just mix this up, helps with the water as far as, you know, temperature-wise. This will keep the water from evaporating as fast as it would if it didn't have the soap in there. It also cleans your hands really well too.
And the tubing.
Looks like somebody just won a tournament. That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
All kinds of stuff going on here at BlizzCon.
Yep.
So as I'm just getting the tube, you know, the insert here, lubricated, and we got this in here. So see, this is, you know, it fits in real easy. Nothing that should be a challenge. If this is gonna be a problem putting it in here, this is probably the wrong insert for the tubing. And it's very important because that inner diameter, you want it to be tight, but you don't want to make it, it doesn't need to be impossible. And you know, being able to just, you know, lubricate it with some soapy water, you know, kind of helps out for a lot of things, especially being able to remove the tube after you've done your bend.
Yeah, it makes life a lot easier.
So soapy water, good friend to use for this stuff. And then to jump on to some other things. Now, I have just a basic heat gun. And this is nothing crazy. Got it on a nice deal. You can pick up heat guns right here at newegg.com too. I mean, they got all kinds of other stuff other than PC parts as well, which is real convenient. And they do the will call stuff here for you guys from California. I love that, I gotta
City
say.
of Industry.
Oh man. So with a basic heat gun, this one right here is 1500 watts, just for people here in the audience and at home, just to kind of know what I'm doing. And I mean, it's nothing crazy. I'll turn this on, and then this will be able to apply heat to my tubing so that I can be able to make it pliable to bend it in shapes that are gonna fit what I wanna do for my liquid cooling build. Now there are different ways that you can do this. First, I'll just demonstrate something simple by using the heat gun in the upright position, and what we'll do is we'll just do a simple 90 bend. So what I'm doing is I'm heating up the tubing in one section. I'm looking at it probably about an inch to an inch and a half gap. It's basically the same diameter of the heat gun, which comes real convenient. I'll adjust it a little bit, but not a lot, as far as going left to right. And just kind of just rotating it, so that way I'm getting even heat going across the tubing. In about 20 seconds or so, you'll start to be able to see the tube become pliable in the area that you've heated. Now I'm keeping it close, but not too close, because I don't want to burn it. Granted, it does take a little bit, and you can start to see I got a little bit of pliability with it now, and I'm almost there. And this will determine a lot for what you're going to do. Now, if you're going to be doing a bigger bend, or if you're going to do something a little bit more extravagant, you're going to want to heat it up a little bit more, but you don't have to heat it up too much. And always make sure you shut your heat gun off. You'll have plenty of time, okay? I mean, as you can see, I can sit here and I can bend this into a 90 shape, being able to give that nice degree just by free hand if I want. I can take this and do 45s with it. You can do a lot of different stuff, but if you try to bend it back the other way, you'll start to get a little bit of a warp to it. So you got to take care with what you're doing with the piece. Once you start doing a bend to it, once you make it too extreme, it's kind of hard for it to go back to, say, an exactly straight type of piece. But you do have some durability and playability with this to be able to kind of work and make a bend. I mean, you can see getting a little bit harder,
there we
but
go.
it's still, I'm still able to kind of bring it back to this. Now, I can also take this piece, and then I'm just going to reheat it a little bit here so I can bend it back again. And this is another good point with this stuff. I mean, if you get that bend and it's not maybe just straight, right before, don't let it cool all the way. Just, while it's still a little bit warm, comes pliable just real easy all again. And that way, if you were like this and you want to be like that, or it was up here and you want to make it straight, this will allow you to be able to kind of just readjust it, and it gives you a little bit of work, as long as you're not wanting to go from one side to the other. I mean, you can't go too extreme with it. Now with this, I also have our bending kit. So I'll take the tubing here, and I can press it into the bending kit so that I can get a 90-degree bend out of it just the same. I mean, you saw how easy it was for me to bend the 90 by hand, but then if you want to have that same 90 bend the same time, and you want to keep a uniform look to it, a mandrel kit is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of press this in here, I'll pull it out, I'll look at it. It'll give me a little bit sharper or tighter type of bend. I can make some last minute adjustments to it right before it fully cools. And I mean, it's not super hot, but I mean, it's still warm. But then you can get just a basic simple 90 bend out of this. And then you can take this from here. Now, a lot of this is gonna involve with what do I do with this? Where do I go from here on a 90-degree bend? So first things first, once you do your bends, unless I was gonna do, say, another bend on this side, always remove your insert. Don't let it sit in here for too long, because you wanna make it easy to be able to remove.
One other thing I actually also noticed is don't remove the insert too early. I mean, if that isn't fully cooled down and that's not holding its shape right there and it's rigid, when you go to pull out that insert, you're actually gonna bend it back a little bit. And so, you may have that perfect 90, and then you just immediately pull out the insert because you're all excited, and then it kind of bends itself back a little bit.
Or it gets a little bit like, so yeah, always spend a little time, make sure it cools.
And then another thing that I picked up, I mean, it's kind of just to be expected, but after you do finish your bends, the nice thing about the soap and water is you can just rinse it out.
Yep.
You have completely clean tubing after that.
So so after I would do a bend, I do my cuts, I test fit it and everything. Before I'd actually run coolant, I'll pull everything out. I'll go and I'll rinse it all out with water, distilled water, run distilled water through there so you have no particles or any material that could be in there,
or anything like that.
contaminants and stuff. So that way you're gonna have a nice clean slate for your nice clean new build. Now just to kind of show, with something like this, as you see here, I have a 90-degree fitting. I could easily put this into here. I could take this 90-degree fitting, turn it up like that, and do another 90 bend going down and in. I mean, it can be something as simple as that, but you can also do some fun stuff too. So let's kind of jump into the fun.
Oh yeah.
So we'll take another
Nice.
insert. Let's see what I got. This one. Take our insert. Trying not to get the stage all wet. But yeah, no, so as you saw what I was doing with the heat gun pointed up, there's also another way that you can go to do something a little bit, a little more fun. And with this, you might also want to think a little bit about safety. I mean, I've done this a lot, but getting some just inexpensive little gloves like this really help to not burn your hands. So I'll put on like one glove just to kind of help protect myself. And then I'll turn my heat gun on. And instead of having it up and rotating the tube, I'm going to lay the tube down on this wood block. Now this wood block I picked up at Home Depot. I just cut it and just, sanded the corners, make it a little good, so that I could mount my mandrel kit on here. Now this is our thermal take mandrel bending kit. I got the box right here. You want to help me with this, Anthony?
Yes, sir.
So this is our Pacific hard tube bending kit. This is specifically designed for this tubing. It matches the mandrels that fit this size of tubing on here, which is really important. You want to make sure your mandrels are a 16 millimeter mandrel that's going to fit a 16 millimeter OD tubing. Now with that, we also get a silicone insert in here, which of course you'll need. And then we have a cutter, and then we have a deburring tool here, which we'll get to in a minute. Now I'm just kind of heating this up. I'm doing a larger area here, keeping this even, going back and forth as I heat my tubing up, and I'm just slowly rotating this. Because I used this and installed this on a piece of wood, the wood actually helps bounce the heat back up off the bottom and helps heat the sides kind of at the same time. So it really helps with a nice uniform heat. And when you're doing this, you just want to make sure you don't stay in one spot like this. You want to make sure you keep going evenly back and forth, kind of just like painting something with a paint sprayer, making sure that everything's even going across. I can get one side here a little bit, get the other side. I'll lift the tubing up and just kind of give it a little test to see, how it's doing, to see how much of the area is starting to get pliable now and how much is still waiting to get heated. So we're just kind of doing some heat here. It takes a little bit longer because I'm going to do a little bit larger of an area, but it's usually not too bad. I mean, a couple of seconds, a minute or so, just to kind of get this warm. Oh, another thing too is, so with the inserts while I'm heating this up. Now our silicone inserts here will come in different lengths. We'll have them in a variety of lengths that you can buy, but it is a good idea to maybe think about buying a couple extra ones, because what you can do is, like when you see my P3 system over there, I can cut the inserts into little custom pieces. Like for example, this one, as you see, it kind of hangs off a little extra long. So make it easy on yourself, because this stuff isn't really all that expensive. Just, cut the end off. Give yourself a little bit to grab, so that way you can pull it out, of course, once you're done with your bends. But let's just see how we're doing here. So I can take this, and you can see as pliable as it can be. I can bend S shapes with it. I can take it almost back. I can take, let's see if we can get this a little bit warmer here. And as I'm reheating this, it kind of goes right back into a pliable state. Really cool to be able to okay, I didn't really get that perfect. Yep. Set it back down, reheat it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's really nice being able to get that second chance if you messed up a bend.
The good thing is the tubing's not too expensive.
Yeah.
But you still don't want to, go through like 20 pieces or whatever, trying to do it one time every time.
I can definitely see how frustrating it would be, even if you bought extra, went through a few more, and then you run out and you have one bend left to do.
See, and I can take this and then I can do corkscrew stuff like that, where like say this is going to go down into my GPU, and then this side right here is going to go up into my radiator. Or I can take this and I can turn it this way, and it's going into my res, going over to my GPU that way. Just to do something simple like this, that you just saw me just twist it. The only trick part is being able to hold it in that position. Being able to hold it like that, so that way it's going to cure. It takes patience. And trust me, I've some of this stuff that you do, can be really, really cool once you get it solid on there. And then it's also important to make sure that you leave yourself a little extra room, where I have a longer piece on this end, so I can cut it to fit, so that way I'm only worrying about one side. This is going to go right down into my GPU, and then this is going to say go over to like my radiator or my pump, and then all I got to do is just know what this space is, and I can kind of mock this up once I'm good with it. You can see it's already, for the most part, starting to cure, and it gives you get a cool little look at it. It's something a little bit different that maybe, than just doing a straight bend, square box kind of stuff. And just seeing how fun this stuff is to play with. I can take this, it's still pretty warm. It's okay to the touch, but then I can take this tubing and just watch the magic with it. Whereas I start getting the areas heated up where it's had the bend, and I can bring it back to life by just going around the edges like this, and you'll start to see that it's starting to loosen back up. So if I didn't get that radius just right, or I didn't get enough length going down, one thing I can show you is that you just get this a little bit heated here. Got a question? Okay, oh, yeah, thanks. No, okay, no, so her question was, for everybody, is that if I hold this here in one spot, what's gonna happen, right?
Well, you don't want to burn it. If it gets so cold, it will burn it.
It won't actually, well, it will burn it if you hold it there long enough. I mean, anything will. But what will happen is if you get it too hot in one area, it'll start to balloon. So what will happen is it'll start separating from the insert that's on the inside and start to balloon out, and then it's pretty much junk. It's not going to just start melting and eroding away. It won't do that. It'll start ballooning out first, and then it basically goes to like a fire point, or what are the heating point where it's almost going to catch fire.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it'll actually expand out from the wall itself, and then you'll kind of end up with like a little bubble on the side, which in terms of like flow and things like that, or even just worrying about that wall thickness, that's just not something that you want to have. So, yeah. Yes. But I mean, the really easy way to make sure you don't ever hit that point is like Mike said, just go ahead, heat it up a bit, and then check on it a little bit. If it's pliable and it's got a nice little good bit of movement there, then you're okay. If it's still kind of rigid from there, you can still heat it up a bit more.
Because yeah, one thing to point out real quick, like if I was going to go down into my the reservoir there, and I want to go up into, say, the radiator like this, kind of similar to what I did, I can do something like that and just kind of get that point to point where I'm going to be. You see, I'm sitting it on top of the fitting. You see that I'm sitting in front of the fitting. Sorry, Anthony. But like just something to give you guys an idea. Once I have this set with what I'm going to do, say if I want to take this twisted a little bit more, give it like, a little bit more of a tornado type of cool look, going in and out. As far as I could go over here, I could go over here. It doesn't matter. As long as you're going in and out from one side to the other, it doesn't matter if it's this one or it's this one. It's how you want to map it out, what you want to do, what your case is going to fit. And then once you have kind of like a shape, you want to make sure with this, see how you can adjust this height right here. It's easy to reheat this and make a little bit more of a lift if you need it. Or instead of having to reheat and adjust this, just cut more of this off. Chop, 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 bring it down so it's gonna fit in there. Like I set this and I mocked it up on top of the fitting. So I know this part is longer. So in order to be able to not have to worry about measuring, have to worry about where my geometry is gonna be going from one to the other, I can mock it up like this and then be able to take that knowing that it's right above the fitting. So all I'm going to be doing is trimming a little bit here. And it's easy to think, don't cut a big piece first. Cut it little by little. And it's very important to make sure when you are cutting your tubing that you have it so you get a nice, flat, straight edge. So this is pretty much cool. But I mean, you can see it's pretty much solid for what it is. I can't really even bend it or whatever. We got a question? Yeah, hey, what's up?
How many times are you able to reheat it without damaging it?
Well, I've done a couple of interesting bends where I probably reheated it like 5 or 6 times. Or maybe if I get something like where it's right here, but I don't like this bend right here, I'll let this all cool first. So that way this part's cool. So when I reheat just this part, I'm not reheating and screwing this up that I, did perfect that I liked. And then that way I can just reheat this and then make an adjustment. But I've done it several times. I mean, you just got to make sure that you go hot enough where it's pliable, but not too much. Because like I was saying, if it gets too hot, it'll start to balloon out on you. And then, I've spent an hour on some pieces sometimes doing some really long bends. I mean, you look at cases nowadays that have the radiator at the bottom, and you got that piece that comes up and over into the CPU. That's a big long piece to have a 90 here dropping down into a bottom radiator and stuff. I mean, you get first bend, second bend, but then that third bend, you're like, oh, it heated up and it warped or whatever, and you kind of just got to start all over. But a lot of it with this stuff, I mean, because it's a thicker wall tubing, this stuff heats up again and is able to, I can almost bring this back to straight and then redo this all over again even after it's like this now. And same with some of the other pieces, just the same. It just depends on how much of a bend you do. If you do something wide and smooth like this, it's real easy to go back and make a full adjustment. If you're going to be using a mandrel and doing a sharp 90, and you want to go back to straight, like something like that, pretty much impossible. So there's a give and take on that. Thanks for the question. Oh, grab him. I'm sure he gets a card. I'll take my Michael Jackson glove off. Thanks so much. Oh yeah, no problem.
Another
Oh,
question.
I'll
down
get you
front.
one. I'll get you one, no problem. And then we had another question? Yeah, you want to come and, or can somebody bring him the mic? That'll be, so we can do to make this easy.
Is there any restriction regarding the length of the tubing for the pump?
So good question. So his question is how long a tube piece can I use that's going to work for the pump? Now with our pump, at least for the D5 pump or the Thermaltake D5 pump, it's rated at 15 feet of pressure. So it can push 15 feet of tube straight up. So that's one thing to think about. I mean, with this right here, this is 500 millimeters. And you bring up a good question. We also have longer tubing. So for that stuff where you're doing like a chamber type design, I have a big piece, longer piece of tubing, which you can use for various things. I mean, I can use this to do more shapes because it does take up a lot of tube length doing those type of corkscrew bends and stuff. Or if I want to have this bent where it's going to the CPU over and I do a 90, it's going to go down into the radiator and stuff like that. This is going to give me a one-piece solution versus using a short piece and then say taking like a fitting and then using this, because now say this isn't long enough for you and you don't have a longer piece of tubing, you can always do a simple 90 off of this that will go into here, and then now this is a separate piece and a separate bend that you could do. It makes it easier for you to maybe start out, or if you just want the look of having more fittings. I know there's a lot of people out there that just like have fittings just all over the place. It gives that cool little mechanical type of look to it. So I mean, it's just kind of your taste and what you want to do.
Oh, we got another question in the back.
Okay, yeah, what's another question?
Oh, right there in the back.
So the length of the tubing, does the length of the tubing affect the cooling? It's going to basically be based on your pump. Is your pump going to be able to push that coolant through that amount of tubing that you have? With a D5 pump, I mean, like I said, 15 feet is pretty long. I mean, and then you also have to consider too that it's going to be going through your water blocks, it's going to be going through your radiator, and stuff like that. So you got a little bit of resistance going through there. But for the most part, you should be fine with a basic build. I mean, when you're looking at something where you're having that much tubing and stuff, you probably not be your first time doing it, or at least for the most part, you would think. Now this, I left this in a little bit. Let's see if it's going to be okay.
Yep.
Oh, look at that. So the soapy water does help with being able to very easily remove this stuff, even something like that. Okay, hold on one sec. He was first. Yeah, what was your question?
I was just going to ask, for the tubing in particular, does there any kind of like corrosive properties out of like which cooling you decide to put through the tube that's going to affect the health of the tube itself after doing heating treatments like that?
Okay, so great question. So, sir, don't forget your game code, bro. So, all right, so his question was, does the corrode...
Is there anything you can really
inside?
put in there that's going to affect that tubing? And yeah.
A lot of that and a lot of this with the PETG tubing, it does matter a lot on what coolant you're going to use. I mean, you definitely want to use a coolant that's rated for PC liquid cooling. And the tubing itself, for the most part, will be fine. But you do want to make sure that you consider what your radiator and what your blocks are made out of. I mean, for example, we offer an aluminum radiator solution. And then we also offer copper and nickel-plated copper cold plate water blocks. So with our water blocks being nickel-plated, it helps prevent that galvanic corrosion issue. But then at the same time, with our aluminum radiators, we do offer a zinc coating on the inside, which helps to prevent that. So I mean, when you look at stuff where everybody goes, okay, aluminum, copper, hey man, I'm standing back, galvanic corrosion, bro. Big problem. A lot of that is solved with the zinc coating and then with the coolant that you use. The opaque coolant that we have here, this coolant right here, is designed to work with brass, aluminum, copper, other types of metals. So you want to make sure what you're putting in there is going to support what blocks and what products that you're using it with. I mean, everybody can always use distilled water, for the same time, but then you also want to make sure you don't have anything growing inside. This is a pre-mixed solution. So this has all that stuff in there, the biocides in it, so you don't have to worry about stuff growing in the coolant, and it's all pre-mixed. You don't have to add anything. Question right here first. Okay, okay, so His question was, what is this, and what can you use? Can you use like PVC stuff? Now, this is PETG tubing. It's specifically designed for a lot of things, and it just kind of stumbled into the PC market. I mean, it was just something that somebody came like, hey, this is going to work, and you can heat it up and you can make it pliable. It changed a lot for what you could get out of liquid cooling.
My opinion, far superior to acrylic.
And yeah, I mean, there are some other solutions that have been around for many years, which was acrylic tubing, which did have some tendency issues to break and everything, but a lot of that too was just being careful with it. I mean, I've done it before and I've been okay with it. This is a little bit more durable in my personal opinion, but I do know a lot of people that have used acrylic and have had great results too. Gentleman in the back, you want to come up here for the...
So I was kind of wondering, do you ever have to worry about like inside the computer to the point where it overheats and it could like, does it let off like any kind of like toxic fumes, or is it like safe like in case like it overheats? Just out of curiosity.
So toxic fumes would definitely be not an issue. You wouldn't have any problems with the cool, because it's not, I mean, your coolant itself is going to be very cold. It's going to be a lot colder than what your CPU is going to be running at. It's not going to be 1-to-1. So don't think about it that way. That coolant's going to be definitely a different temperature than what the CPU is actually giving you in, Windows and in your environment. So it's not actually that hot. That's just what the CPU is getting.
Thank you.
It shouldn't get, and it's a good point too, is that the coolant shouldn't be getting that hot to the point where you would start to see evaporation. That usually means that you have a problem with flow, or you have an airflow issue and it's just not getting proper circulation to cool itself. Great question though, thanks so much. The gentleman in the back. So the power requirement for the pump, I mean, it offers it's a 12 volt pump. So I mean, a standard Molex connection to plug it in. It does require a good amount of watts. I'm not really sure. I can check on the detail of the actual number. I'll give it to you in a little bit after the show or during the break. Now with the tubing itself, or do we have any more questions? Yeah, what's up? Yeah. Okay, so reheating it up, meaning you want to rebend the tubing. Because, like for example with this one, I got the black coolant in here. I mean, I can easily drain this all out and then put distilled water in it, flush it about 3 times. I should be getting to an almost clear solution at that point if I want to do like a color change, for example. I think 3's been my magic number for what I've done.
No, I think what he was thinking more is basically, let's say you had put this guy together right here.
Yeah.
You decide that, maybe you don't like this right here. You go ahead, you drain it out, you clean it. Can I actually take this part off and unbend it and bend it into a different shape?
You could. You could if you wanted to, but it might just be easier just to buy some new tubing, because it's actually not too expensive. I mean, you're looking a little over $10 for a pack of 4 of stuff like this, so it's actually, it's not too pricey. And, it brings up another good point too. If you're gonna look into getting something like this, buy a pack of tubing. Get an insert, get a cheap heat gun, play with it. Do some 90 bends on your own before you jump into all that. Get a feel for what this is gonna work with. That's what I did. I just brought some tubing home, and before I even made this board, I was just on a piece of wood, just like, hey, let's do a cool shape.
Make some twisty straws.
Make some twisty straws. So let's make a twisty straw here in a little bit.
Yes, I'm so down for that.
Now what I want to show everybody is something that's very important with this stuff. No matter what shape you do, no matter what you're going to do as far as making the cool design, if it's simple or it's complex, the one thing you want to worry about the most is how is this going to sit into my fitting? Is it going to be flat, and is it going to be long enough that it's going to go all the way in? Because if you cut it too short and you have it gap out in here, it's going to leak. So you want to make sure that when you're cutting and measuring that you get that proper length, that it's going to seat all the way inside that actual fitting. So with that, you'll take back our little example. So we had something similar set up like this. So that I can go from, say, here to here on the pump. And then I'm looking at this, and kind of with that side, you say like, okay, so I got to cut this a little bit down. So how can I cut this? And how easy is it to cut? Now there's a variety of tools that you can use. A lot of stuff's pretty inexpensive, and you can find it just about anywhere, especially at newegg.com.
Especially.
And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to get out some cutting tools. We're going to take a quick break, message from our sponsors here, and then we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about some cutting tools. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're back here at BlizzCon 2016. Woo woo! Talking about liquid cooling. So we talked a little bit about the tubing, we talked a little bit about the how-tos and what's and everything. So now we want to jump into, after we've done our bends, what are we going to do? How are we going to cut our tubing? So cutting the tubing is definitely very important. You want to make sure that the tubing is going to fit into that fitting properly. And to do that, you want to make sure you get a nice, straight, flat cut. And you can do this a variety of ways. With this right here, in our little bending kit that we have that I was showing earlier, we have just a straightforward pipe cutter. So this is actually a really good pipe cutter. I mean, it's very durable.
I love that pipe cutter. That one works great.
This thing's really cool because it offers a beveled edge. So when you apply this and put this in, you put your tube here on the rollers, and if I just get it locked in here like this, you'll be able to see this just kind of goes in. This is just like if you cut copper, or if you've done other stuff, like a plumbing thing for like, DIY home stuff. It's the same concept, folks. PVC, doing sprinklers. I mean, it's just a twist and turn. And then what this does is as you're going here, it's just gently cutting the tubing. And of course you want to make sure you get the right lengths. You don't want to just pick an area like I did and just start cutting. But as you go through, it's going to then separate and cut off that piece and give you a nice, straight, flat edge cut. Now with this is one way to do it. One thing you can think about is, well, if I have something like this and I'm going to put it and I want to cut here, I can't because this turns. There's not really a one-stop solution tool for certain things. So you want to get a couple different varieties. Maybe you're going to do some interesting bends and you don't really know where or how you want to cut certain things. So you might want to pick up some other stuff. So if you got the mandrel kit, you might want to also go and look at, getting some just basic saws. Now I have just a couple of different saw versions. This is just like your regular miter saw. It comes with a miter box. I mean, very inexpensive. Gives you a nice straight cut. I mean, if you're a homeowner like me, and you've done some molding around the door panels and stuff like that, you probably have one of these in the garage already. So something like this will allow you to be able to set this up and then take my tubing and fit it in here to cut it. But you'll see, because this has got a loop to it, I can't actually, if I put it right here so you can see it, I can't actually get it to fit all the way down in because this hits, so I can't almost get it here. So sometimes this might not work, or sometimes if I have it like this and I need to cut here, but I don't need to cut this piece, I need to cut this piece. So if I have something like that, this isn't going to work. So that's where if something like this will come in store, well, I can just take it and go like that. And then now I can set that in here and boom, now I can cut that bottom tubing piece without hitting the top tubing piece by using a different saw that's, again, fairly inexpensive, not too bad. This will give me a nice straight cut. If I take this and I set this in here, I can easily just apply this like this. And I mean, this stuff isn't too crazy to cut. It's very easy to cut. And I can cut a little section off like that. Gives me a nice clean cut. There's a little bit of material that will be left in here that you can just, kind of just pick off that. I'll just go blow it out, kind of get a little bit of that out. Because again, once we're done with everything, we're gonna rinse this all out with distilled water, make sure we get all the material out of there. Now, another thing that's also really good to kind of come back on the fitting stuff is that now that this is cut, it's a sharp edge, right? I don't want to just start jamming this into my fittings. I'm going to damage my O-rings on the inside. So what I'll do with this, there's two things you can do. You can use a deburring tool like this to be able to sit here and grind and cut away the outside, or to trim the inside too. Because with our RGB fittings, the fitting actually has O-rings that go on the inside. So when they go on the inside right there, that inner tube wall is going to be what you're going to want to fix. So taking this and just giving it a couple of twists is going to give me a rounded, beveled edge on just the inside. And what this is going to do is it's going to protect my O-rings in here, and it's also going to allow it to insert very easily. Put a little bit of distilled water on there, and everything will slide right on, and you'll thank me later for picking up something like this or getting the kit. I mean, it's a $2 lifesaver.
Yeah, that thing really helps right there. And one thing I noticed when I was putting mine together is, whereas that pipe cutter, where you actually spin it, that one works really, really good. But one problem that I had, at least, is if I was trying to do like a really, really small cut, it was very difficult. And that's where those saws really come in handy.
Yeah, and now another thing that I got here is I just got a PVC cutter. I mean, it's a pretty crazy little blade here, but it works really well. I can take this, if I got like a small piece, or if I'm just doing like a ballpark, I can just sit here, cut a piece off just like that. But you have to consider with something like this, or with the saws that you use, how is it going to affect the tubing and where it is? Also, how much do I need to cut off? If I need to cut off like an 1/8 of an inch piece and everything, I'm going to have a struggle trying to do that with this, because as I said it, if I want to do something really close, it's going to pinch the tubing. I mean, cutting something really small is very challenging to do. And for the most part, as you can see here, it wasn't really straight either. And that's really important, because as you look at this and it's got just that little bit of an angle, guess what? When that's going to go into your fitting there, it's not going to be solid on the top. So you want to make sure it's a nice, flush, flat cut. So that's why just getting a cheap little miter box like this is just a great incentive. I can also take this too. These are great, by the way, for doing a lot of the easy, simple cuts or the prep cuts and everything. It's just kind of a, what do you want to get and what do you want to use? Now, one of the things to kind of go back on the miter saw is that as I cut this piece here, let's just kind of get this flat. So we got a nice flat piece. We cut this so that's definitely a lot better than it was. And then we have this. Say I'm on here and this is just a little bit too long, where this is kind of pushing this up and it's kind of teeter-tottering that a little high. I just need to cut just a little fraction off. The great thing about this PETG tubing is I can cut the smallest of slivers, and I'm going to demonstrate, my little cooking show thing to you guys here, that if you need to cut something as thin as this, I can cut off the smallest of pieces, so that way I can get it flat. Maybe it wasn't flat, had a little bit of an arc to it. I can go and trim that where it's not going to be cut too short, where, hey, now it's not going to fit, or if I just want to cut something this intricate. This tubing is amazing when being able to get that perfect fitment for cutting something this small. This isn't shattering, this isn't breaking on me. It's giving me a lot of love being able to do what I can do with this.
Yeah, definitely. The PETG is just really, really easy to work with.
And then this right here, this is just some wet dry sandpaper, nothing crazy. I think it's 400 or 500 grit. 400 or 500 grit. Don't get like the 1,000 or the stuff that you wet sand and everything. You'll be there forever. But something like this, that's just a wet sand, you can just sit here and just kind of go around the edges. What this is going to do is this is going to save you money in replacing fittings that you're going to be destroying the O-rings putting this in and out. So by just kind of just going around the edge, and then you just pick off the little part, this will smooth out the actual fitting here. So that way this is going to give you a nice smooth edge, so that way it's not going to cut or damage the actual O-rings that are going to be installed. Because I mean, these aren't cheap, and you do need a good amount of them too. So do yourself a favor, grab some simple sandpaper, wet dry, and then just being able to sit that, it fits so snug in there. And you can feel it kind of pop and push flat against the wall, giving you a nice solid connection.
Really quick, just as a little side note, because I actually did this a couple times myself, is when you are putting that fitting into the tube, make sure that you put the sleeve on the tube first. Otherwise, you're kind of just going to end up putting the fitting into the tube, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't lock it down now, so.
Yeah, so a good point. So if I'm ready, because I'll take the sleeve off and the O-ring off, have all the O-rings and sleeves off on the system first, as I'm bending my tubing and test fitting everything. Make it easy. Don't be doing the sleeves on and off. You don't want to damage the O-ring as less as possible, right? So then once you're all set, you clean this all out and everything, you'll take your sleeve, you put your sleeve on first. Then you'll take your O-ring, you put your O-ring on next, and then you take your tube and just press it in here. One of the cool things about the tubing too is, I don't know if you can actually kind of see a lot of that very clearly, but you can, because it's clear, you can see the tubing actually seated all the way down into that fitting. And you'll know that you'll get a nice solid connection, and then just sliding your sleeve on the tubing itself. Be careful. Don't teeter-totter it like this. You're gonna scratch your fitting, or your tube. You don't wanna give it lines on the tubing. Making sure everything is flat, that this is flat going right into the fitting, and you'll be able to tell pretty easily, because this is gonna be either easy or hard to screw back on. And as you can see, it goes on real well. And I just tighten this down like this. And then now I have my tubing installed into my fitting. Yeah, it can pop out, but it's not gonna be as hard or as easy as if you had other types of fittings that don't have this compression. Because again, as I'm putting this and mounting this in here, I'm also gonna have the pressure from wherever the other tube end is gonna go. They kind of push together and keep them in there. But I mean, it's doable, but it's not easy either. And a lot of that is thanks to the triple O-ring design. I can also, as a little sneak, so like if you have like say you have something that's got a little bend and it's real close and you want to go in like right here, and the sleeve might not fit on the tubing just as well, or if you got a little problem because it's a real close corner where you're doing the 90, just leave the sleeve on here, just get this wet, and then you can actually push this back in, kind of teeter-totter it a little bit, and I can get the fitting right back in there. And it'll hold it in there, just don't do it a lot. But if you're doing small little bends, like say that from the CPU block that loops down into the GPU, that's basically what I did. I mean, I can take a piece of tubing and I can take an insert. Like again, I said with the inserts, I can cut them to a custom length. So like if I have this tubing and I'm gonna be like, okay, how long is it gonna need to be? Okay, all right, let's get an idea. So I'm gonna be here, and I want this to spin a couple times, and I want it to go in there. How do you do that? What's the best way to do that? So I can say I have this tube. I mean, this is a standard piece, but I wanna maybe cut a little bit off. So we'll take the tube, I'll cut this piece off of here, so it's more of a custom link, just so everybody kind of knows what we're doing, and just get the little bit of material out of there. Now with this, I bought a big long insert. We sell long inserts for the long tubing. You can use the longer insert to cut up in smaller pieces for smaller tubing. One thing that I can do with that is I can take something like this, where this is shorter than the actual tubing. And you know what I did? I put a little screw on the end. I screwed it into here. You know why? Because then what I can do is I can take the screw out, I can take this insert, and this works wonders. And I mean, if you're somebody that's like, I guess not necessarily having a tough time, or just want to get like a really neat bend and actually do it the easiest way, I can take the insert, kind of just get it here so it's in the middle, because I know I'm not going to heat the ends. I'm not going to heat, because I'll warp this end if I heat that close. I want to leave that little bit of space that's straight, that's going to go right into my fittings here, straight. I started heating here. I started heating here. I gave myself a good inch off of the parts. That's what I do. So I'll take this. Let's clean this up a little bit here. We're DIY here today at BlizzCon.
Yep.
DIY. So take this. Let's do something else to look at. How are we doing on time? We doing good? Anybody got any questions? Wait, is it crazy?
It's a pretty crazy. I've seen his, and then I have mine.
I'll show you after the show. But I run a dual radiator setup, and what happens is I go from the pump into my GPUs, and I cool my GPUs first. Then it goes up into a top radiator that's then cooled again before it goes into the CPU. So I get, like, I guess you would say, the most ideal temperatures for the CPU. And then after it comes out of the CPU, it goes back into the pump to complete the loop. By doing 2 radiators, I isolate the cooling for the GPU separate from the CPU. Yep. You don't have to do that, but it looks cool. It gives you a little bit more of an advantage for having best case scenario.
It looks really cool.
And it looks really cool.
Yeah. Mine is actually kind of the same way, except I went the other way around. I went to the CPU first, and then back into another radiator, and then back to my GPU.
And it brings up a good point. You don't really have to go to one or the other first, as long as you go all the way through properly. I mean, I could go from the GPU first, or I could go to the CPU first. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're doing a single card and a CPU, it doesn't matter. But if you're looking at doing like 3 or 4 graphics cards, you might want to think about what that's going to be temperature-wise before it's going to hit the CPU, not going between a radiator. Well, you can also, okay, and then, great question. So when he brings up is that now if you have a bigger case, you're running multi-GPUs and the CPU, maybe you want to do 2 of those pumps and run one isolated completely with one radiator to just the GPU, and then run a whole separate pump radiator block to the CPU, and completely isolate the GPU from the CPU temperature. And you know what else is neat? You can do 2 colors.
Yeah, 2 different cooling colors.
And you can get some really cool two-tone kind of looks with that.
We'll actually be getting to that in a little bit.
It mixes together, and we're going to actually talk about that in a little bit, so just hang out.
Yep. Yeah, one other thing on that though is, you like Mike was saying, you do really want to make sure that you have a case that's large enough if you're going to do something like that, because I mean, you will need a good amount of room, especially if you're looking at fitting in 2 different pumps. It's going to take up a lot of space. I have a full tower. I was looking at doing that. I started off with 1 pump to begin with, and now I'm looking at the spacing I have left. I might be able to fit 1 more pump in there, but it's a really tight fit.
Okay, so to show you guys this, I got this piece heated, right? Now, one other cool trick that you can do, you don't want to have to worry about what's going where, how long this needs to be. If you get a ballpark idea, I can think about it this way. I can push this into this fitting. I can push this into this fitting. Once these are both in the fitting, because I cut the insert smaller than the tubing, I can then take this here, like that, and then now I can, once this is kind of set into the fitting, it's kind of hard to show you, then I could take this part and I could do like a crazy cool bend, or I could bend this while these are in here. And I already know that both of these are in here, and then all I got to do is just kind of bend or shape this whatever way I want, and once it cools, it's good. I mean, you're in, and you're good. You don't have to worry about length. You don't have to worry about cutting. You just got to cut it the one time, and maybe you got to do this 2 or 3 times. But think about how much easier that is to be able to get something really neat. I mean, something like this, I pushed this piece into here, heated this part, getting a ballpark idea. I think it took me about 2 tries as far as how long it had to be, and then just pushed the other end, just looped it around, and then just adjusted this so that way I fit, to get the loop straight, so then it looks cool. But then it's real easy. Then once you have your shape and everything set, take that cool, awesome wood screw that you dug out of your dad's garage, just kind of stick it in the one side here, and then boom, I can pull it out. It makes it so much easier. Just buy more of this stuff. It makes it so much easier, and you can do so much more with the tubing, and you can do crazy shapes and stuff like that. I mean, even if I wanted to do this, I can put the bottom part in there, do a couple of loops with it, put the other part in there, and then now that this is holding, I don't have to hold this. It's static holding there, and then I can use my 2 hands to adjust that spacing so I can get that cool little loop arc that's going to go up, over, and in. And that's how I do it. I mean, it's about thinking about what you're going to do. How can you make it easier for yourself Do I have to cut it twice? Or can I just mock one side up so I only have to cut it one time? Think about how much easier it is to have to worry about just cutting one length versus two, or being able to where I'm gonna bend a 90-degree bend. I can take a piece of tubing like this. So see, I bent a 90. Now, instead of having to know where the 90 is gonna go from here to here, if I made this long enough like that, and I have the other piece say it's going down here, all I gotta do is cut this side off and cut that side off. I don't have to worry about where I bent this. I don't have to measure where the 90's gotta bend. I can just take a piece, give myself extra room on both sides, make the 90, and then once it's set in there, I just, get a little Sharpie pen, make your little mark, get your miter box, boom. I mean, it's easy. Just make sure that you cut it properly and flat, and you get some sandpaper. Another thing that's great too is some tape. You get some tape, and like you're doing like stuff like this right here. I'll take a piece of tape on the fitting, and I'll kind of mark right here. Whoop, that was my finger. I'll mark right here, and I'll know that I don't want to heat this side. And then I'll kind of get an idea, giving myself that spacing, so I know I'm going to be heating from here to here. Because when you're looking at it on the table, and you got it there, being able to tape those two corners like that, it makes it a real good visual for you to be able to know exactly where you're heating. And using something like, this like body shop or paint tape and everything, it won't leave residue and everything like that. Get paper towel, wipes right off. Just be careful that you don't take the heat gun too much to it, because it'll start to burn and catch fire. It's kind of happened a couple times, but not too bad.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too good.
So I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick commercial break, get some message from our sponsors. We're going to clean this up a little bit, and we're going to talk about coolant. So stay tuned as we're here at the Newegg booth at BlizzCon 2016.
The toughness, the scalability, the agility. Get ready to lead the pack. The Iron Wolf family adds agility to your NAS system.
Athletes aren't just born. They're molded from the core. A core of strength. A core of laser focus. A core that can handle anything. A core that sweats the small stuff. A core that's the difference maker, game changer, world shocker. You see, hard work makes the athlete, but the edge of a Core i7 processor makes you unstoppable.
everybody, we're back.
Welcome back.
BlizzCon 2016 here at the Newegg booth, and we're talking about liquid cooling. So we've gone over, oh gosh, a variety of things, man.
So much stuff.
Whoa.
Tube bending, cooling, air cooling versus liquid cooling.
RGB fittings, RGB
Oh, yeah.
fans.
How could I forget the RGB fittings?
So we're going to start jumping into the liquid part of things. You know, one of the most important things about putting all your time and effort into building a liquid-cooled PC, you want to make sure you use the right coolant that's going to work for your components, and of course something that's going to last, not clog on you, or give you that worry, you know, that a lot of people are, you know, kind of worried about with the DIY stuff. Like, hey, is that coolant going to be all over the floor the next morning, or is everything going to be fine?
And it's got to look good.
And it's got to look
It's got to look good.
So Thermaltake's come out with a variety of new coolant colors. This is our new opaque series coolant, and it comes in 7 different colors. And actually, we're debuting and showing off the black coolant for the first time. So that's our new 8th color, is the new opaque black that you'll see over here. I think I got the bottle hanging on the side, but we threw our black into our Core P3 build here, kind of show everybody what the new black looks like, and we're real excited.
Super excited.
This should be available here around holiday time, and of course you can pick that up at newegg.com, as well as all of our other liquid cooling, fittings, tubing, inserts, radiators, pumps, blocks, you name it. We have
Fans,
over 200 SKUs currently at newegg.com. If you go to, I think it's DIY PC or liquid cooling DIY, there's a whole section just filled with Thermaltake for liquid cooling, so that way you can get individual fittings, different little parts that you might not be able to find somewhere, and definitely all available here at newegg.com. So I just want to give a big shout out to Newegg for that, because we really do appreciate you guys' support with being able to offer these options. Because with liquid cooling, everybody wants options, right? So no different here with the coolant. So we come out with a series of 7 and now 8 different colors here. They're, you know, your primary colors. I mean, most of the colors that you'll see here, like the purple I have running in my little reservoir model, or the black that we have running over there, or even the white that we have here in our RGB fittings.
You mean the 2% milk?
Oh yeah, that's right. We swapped this out for some milk because, you know, we had breakfast.
Maximum cooling performance.
Maximum.
For breakfast. Yeah.
For breakfast. For breakfast. It smells great too.
Keeps your PC cool and fills up that cereal bowl.
It does, it does. But you know, something with like the white coolant can really give you the options for something more neutral, but then at the same time you can also take the white and you can make some really cool stuff out of it. So, you know, you saw I did a red and black build over here, you know, you probably would have thought to yourself, okay, I would either have gone red or gone black because now we have the black, but before when we didn't have the black, out of all these colors, I probably would have picked red, right? I mean, it probably would have fit the best. You wouldn't want to put yellow in, for example, or maybe you want to make a mustard and ketchup kind of action. I mean, you know, it might be your thing. It just depends, but it gives you those options to be able to do some really cool coolant colors that are very vibrant. I mean, this is a solid color coolant, so it's not the transparent kind that you'd normally see, but we do offer that as well. But this is the new coolant, the opaque coolant that we have that gives, you know, a really awesome look. I mean, if I take this reservoir and I fill it all the way to the top, it almost looks like nothing's moving. I mean, when you look at the tubing there from a distance, from like, say, where you guys are sitting, I mean, you can tell that, you know, you really can't see that the coolant's moving in the tube. Or like if you had a transparent, it's a lot more easier to see, but then it gives you that same look. So it is a lot about, oh wow, that looks so solid, or it looks thick and everything, but it really actually isn't. It's a very liquefied type of solution. It's not something
a lot of times it ends up getting mistaken for color tubing.
Yeah, a lot of people say, hey, that's black tubing. Like, no. I've had people ask me on the blue one, like, is that blue tubing? I'm like, no, it's just clear with blue. And they're like, wow, that looks so cool.
Check the reservoir.
So a lot of coolants are going to be based on white. I mean, basically everything is going to start with a white base. It's going to be the filler. You know, just like when you go to like, you know, your favorite home, you know, not necessarily Home Depot, but your favorite home shopping area to buy paint. Yes. You know, they all have that gallon of paint that's got white in it. And then they do the color thing and they squirt the colors in there and make the color you want, right? So it's no different with something like this. I can take this coolant, now say instead of red, say for example, that case right there was, you know, maybe like...
Let's call it like a light blue maybe.
Maybe a light blue, okay,
there we go.
Like a light blue.
Yeah.
So we'll take like a light blue color and say it's like a sky blue, you know, a real nice bright blue. I can take this white and you'll want to make sure, because I'm just doing this for demo, but you know, make sure that you fill up enough. You know, you have, when you're going to do the color mixing the first time, make sure it's all in one shot. You don't want to have to run out of a little bit and then have to try to match that color or find yourself squirting in a little bit more or this or that, depending. But I can take the blue And I mean, it's very aggressive. Just a little bit of the blue in here, and I can sit here and I can mix this up, and you can just start to see how it's gonna give you that custom color that you make that's gonna fit and go for something that you want in your build. Maybe you're doing a light blue cooler, or your motherboard or your graphics card has a light blue color to it.
So then, out of curiosity then, let's say I went ahead and just filled up the loop with white. Does that just mean I could technically fill up a little bottle with some of that blue coolant and just slowly add it into the reservoir? Would it just finish mixing that way?
Yeah, no, that brings up a good point, because this is a pre-mix coolant solution. So with this right here, it is basically ready to go out of the bottle. It's not a concentrate. And a lot of times when you look at like something like a white, you'll use a white and you'll put a concentrate or a dye in there that will allow you to change the colors that way. You can do that, and we're actually looking to be able to offer that here soon with some new coolant products that are going to be coming down the road. But for the time being, if you want to just have something to kind of mix up together, say you need 2 bottles of white, or you want to make a light blue, I can get 1 bottle of this, 1 bottle of that. I can mix these together, you know, and kind of get that color that I want. Maybe I get 2 bottles of white and 1 bottle of color, as far as what you're going to figure out, you know, or what you're going to do. I mean, depending on how you want to make the color, there's a lot of cool little options that you can do with it. Now, I can take, let's say if I take orange, but let's do something neat. So if I take some red, that's probably a lot of red, but let's just see. I'm gonna take the green here. I really like this green, by the way.
That's actually my weekend project, swapping that one in.
But see, I can put the green in here, and it's, you know, something weird. I can make almost like a brown color, or like a red, darkish brown. Like if I added more red or I added more green, I can get a weird color. You know, I can make it almost gross, just the same, but you can do some really like say for example, if you wanted to do like a copper build, or something that somebody's looking to make something that looks like copper, you want that industrial feel.
Yeah, definitely.
You can do something crazy like this.
It actually does look like rust.
But you could do something, and just think about what this is gonna look like if you had like a really cool old time modded build. You know, you made it look aged. You know, you put some crazy little copper tubing stuff in there. You can't find something like that. You know, so there's you know, definitely some weird stuff that's out there. You can also do, let's see what, take some yellow. Oh, and by the way, with the coolant, there's a little squirt bottle that's on the top, you know, just so you can squirt it in like you saw, but you can pop it right off too and just pour it real easy. It's a great life. Saves a lot of time. See, and I can take red and yellow, makes orange, right? But maybe I don't want the exact orange that this is. Maybe I want to do something a little bit more like a blood orange, or I want to just have it have that own unique type of color to it, where you'd say orange, and you'd say like blood orange or a red orange, like that. I could add more, I could add less, I could change up the color to get something a little bit more unique. Maybe something that's going to match the cables that I have, or something's going to match the accents on my motherboard,
Funny
on my
enough,
graphics card.
Doesn't that actually go with your build?
This is kind of similar to the build that I did. I did like a red orange like this, and it came out great. And it was a lot of fun to mix too, because I can just add more and more of this, and then it can just get darker and darker red. Because red is going to be very dominant color. Out of all the colors, red is going to be real dominant. But then I can get something that's really neat like that. It's more of a one-off custom thing that's going to fit for what I like. And I mean, the best part about it with DIY cooling, I get bored of it, I can change it. All I got to do is drain the loop out, flush it out with some distilled water, boom, I can go all red, I could go orange, any color that I want to do. So you have a lot of options, and we have a lot of colors here, so that way people can see different ways to kind of mix stuff and do stuff. Yeah, what's up? Okay, so great question. So we offer little squeeze bottle solutions like this. You can pick up a variety of these things online, but like something like this, I can use this to, you know, of course, put my coolant in here, and then fill this, and then take this, because see with these, there's a little plug right here on the top. I can take this plug off, and then now I can just sit this right down in here, and I can squeeze this in here. I'm not worried about taking this and aiming it perfect and making a mess. I'm not using like a syringe that's gonna take me 100 times to refill it. I mean, this is 250 milliliters, so it's about a quarter of the bottle, and I can squeeze and fill this into here. And then you know what the great thing is about this? Let me get a paper towel real quick. Don't want to make too much of a mess.
This actually might be one of my favorite features about this.
And you know, it's like one of those mistakes that you're like, oh wow, that worked, that's so great. I can take this, pull this out, take it here, and I can put it in the opposite way, and then now it's a suction. Now I can take this, I can stick this down into my reservoir. I have a longer stem, so I mean, we even offer taller reservoirs. You stick that down in there, squeeze this, and suck it back out. And as I suck the coolant out of here, it's called, gravity's gonna help me. It's all gonna kind of start falling back into here. Rinse and, you know, do this process about 3 or 4 times, and then you get most of it out. Then with the radiator, there's a drain plug on the bottom. Real convenient. You can put a fitting on there that brings off to like a little drain port that you want to do, or you can just have it where you just take the drain port off after you're done and drain it out.
Actually, I was browsing through some fittings the other day, and you guys, Thermaltake actually sells quick disconnects.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could just hook up a little quick disconnect down there. Whenever you want to drain it, just go ahead and hook up the quick disconnect. Have it go flow right into a bucket.
And then that way it's just a simple mess, it's, you know, no mess. Just turn and it opens so it will drain. And then when you turn it to separate it, it plugs it. So that way the coolant's not spraying everywhere. It gives a real nice, easy way to do your maintenance and stuff. And of course, it's another option that we offer here.
Yep.
You know, to be able to get.
We have a
cool
question
stuff.
online.
Oh yeah,
from
what's up?
Twitch. Genoa Witness wants to know: is there a risk of spilling the liquid when removing tubing to change colors?
Okay, so I would say the number one important thing about that is that when you're doing your initial fill, before you get everything to this stage, you're gonna wanna get, yep, he already has it, folks.
I already had it.
This is a 24-pin jumper. The purpose of this does an amazing thing. So I can take this jumper that's right here. It's very simple. It's basically just jumpering my power supply to turn it on, just like if I push the button on the case to turn my system on. This will allow no power to go through the motherboard, no power on your GPU and stuff, so that way I can still get power from my Molex and peripheral connections to be able to power only the pump. Because in that way, just the pump is powered. So if I did have a leak, say right here on the bottom of my CPU block, and it's dripping right down onto my graphics card, because you know it's right there, most cases, you know, you'll also want to put some paper towels down. You know, play it safe on that, but there's no power running through the product. If you see a quick leak, which you should be probably watching like a hawk for the most part in that stage, I mean, I am, but you know, making sure that if it does leak, you can shut the pump off real fast, you can catch the leak, you can stop the problem right away. And then the brilliant part is that if it is dripping onto the PCB and stuff, there's no power going through there, so it's very unlikely that you'll have a short circuit or water damage type scenario. You should be able to easily clean it off and be good to go.
Yeah, just dry it off, make sure it's fully dry, give it some time, and you're all set.
And I mean, you know, another thing to expand on this is not completely non-conductive, but it does have non-conductive properties to it. So it is better than just, I mean, you don't want to use tap water, ever. I mean, tap water is the worst thing you could ever use, but even distilled water and everything, you know, the coolants can definitely work a little bit better for you and be a little safer for you on that, but 24-pin jumper, folks. We include these in our water cooling kits. You can find them fairly easily around, and it's a lot safer than doing the paperclip thing, jamming it into your power supply. Okay, good question. So with the maintenance side of something like this, I would recommend probably every 12 months, you might want to look to maybe changing your coolant. It'll probably be fine for the most part, but it's always good to think about that in about a 12-month period. And the coolant itself should last a good couple years without much of an issue.
We have a question from our sound guy, Ethan. He wants to know, can you use antifreeze? He's also a mechanic. Can you use antifreeze as a coolant?
Oh, okay, so I've had this question actually brought up because people will say, you know, that antifreeze green coolant looks just like those transparent coolants that are out there. Does that have the same properties?
I hear that a lot too. Yeah, a lot.
It is different, so don't use it, folks. Make sure you're always using a coolant that is, you know, certified to work with PC application. Something that's gonna work, and you know, they're gonna label it saying, hey, this is for DIY PC, and it will also tell you again what metals it's gonna work with. So that way you know what blocks and where that coolant's gonna touch. The coolant's gonna touch everything going through the loop. You wanna make sure that it's, you know, it's gonna work for all those properties for what you have. I mean, nowadays I would say most people are usually dealing with a copper block that's nickel plated, so you're pretty much safe from just about any issues because of the nickel plating. And that's why a lot of people do it, and it gives a great cool look because you get that chrome type nickel polish like our Asus Strix water block over here. It looks really, really good. Okay. So, hey, another thing I wanted to point out too for the tubing stuff is that, you know, a little level like this, if you want to know where you're at level-wise, or if you're doing a nice straight loop and you want a nice straight, like you look at our Core P5 that we have over there, get some real clean lines, giving you a nice straight line here and a nice straight line there. Picking up one of these little guys works real good. It sits right on top of the tubing, and then you can sit that there, and then you can, as you're bending, as it's still cooling that 90, you'll know if you're at that 9, you know, getting it level as far as where it needs to be. It can be really cool and really helpful for you for what you're doing. All right, so we've talked about cooling. We've talked about Q3. We've got some coolants out here and everything. I think it's time for a giveaway.
Yeah, I think it's time for another one too.
I think it's time for a giveaway.
Let's see here. And actually, we were just talking about some fans a little bit earlier ago, so
there we go.
Why not?
All right, so yeah, just to talk a little bit about this, this is our new TT Premium Edition ring fans. This is a 3-pack kit, so you get 3 fans in the box. It comes with a controller, and this is controlled by software. So there's no, you know, push button stuff, which we've had on some of our other options, which is our first gen ring fan controllers here that you see that I have on display. So this is a great new product. We're going to be giving this away here right now. How should we do this?
Ooh,
How should we give this away?
What
do you want to do?
Want to go off of like some trivia from what you said before?
We can. We can if you want. You got a good question? You got a good idea?
No.
No?
No.
All right, so let's do. Let's see. We got some people out here. I want to make sure everybody participates too.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish I had enough pieces of tubing where I could have everybody all draw straws.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
All right. So let's just do it. I just want to cut. Let's just do it simple.
Okay.
Number between 1 and 20. We'll
All
go
right.
through the row.
Cool, we
Well,
get to
no,
do that
let's do
again.
1 and 50.
Oh,
1
okay,
and 50.
okay.
There's a good
Make it
crowd
more
out here.
interesting, all
We got a
right.
good crowd out here. So 1 and 50. You pick the number.
Okay.
Let me know when you got it.
I got it.
Got it? 1 and 50? All right, sir. 36. 45? 25.
Nope.
Nope. 7.
Nope.
37.
Nope.
Nope. 17.
No.
38.
Nope.
Ooh, close. 10. 10.
Nope.
Set. He already said 7. Okay. I gave you
What was that?
I gave you an extra life on that one.
What was that
He
one?
said 13.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. 42. Oh, the
Nope.
meaning of life. Love that number. 28.
Nope.
3. 33.
Nope.
A lot of 30s. 21.
There you go, blackjack.
Whoa, blackjack. Good job. All right, come on up here. Well, that went easier than I thought. She got the number
Yeah,
right on the
yeah.
dot. I was worried we were going to have like a
We're gonna
battle
have
or
to do,
something.
yeah, the close one again.
There you go. Thanks so much. Oh, here, let's get a really quick picture right here. Right there with the red. Cool. Thank you so much.
And
All right. All
do you want to
right.
do the last one?
Should we? Do we got time? What are we looking at time?
I think we got time for one more.
Okay, we got time for one more.
And
So we got to think.
who
of a
likes
good-
RGB keyboards? I do. I love them.
Who loves mechanical keyboards? This thing offers the availability to be able to change the key, any key to any color. You can also set up cool little patterns so it lights up like green, and then as you press the keys, it could flow through a wave of 4 different colors. It's really cool software that's built in here that TTE Sports has provided for us to give away to you guys.
And
this is
it's
one
blue
of our-
switches.
And it's a blue switch keyboard. So if you're real into the tactile feel, this is definitely the keyboard of your choice.
Yep.
Before we get to this giveaway, I do want to call out something. I want to talk about this riser
Oh,
cable
yes.
here. Real quick, just so we have time. So this is our Core P3. In order to be able to have the graphics card mount the way that you see it there, it is requiring a riser cable. This is what's connecting from the motherboard to the graphics card, so that way this connection will go up into the motherboard, and then this will be here for your graphic card to mount, so that you get that awesome vertical look with the water block, especially in the Core P3 and other case series that Thermaltake has to offer. Now, this right here is our new premium cable. We know some people have had some issues with the cables. I've worked with a lot of people, and thank you so much for your feedback. I can't thank everybody enough for the feedback they've given us, so that way we could go back, look at what was going wrong with certain people, so that way we can make a better premium solution for you guys. So we have a new TT Premium riser cable, and you're gonna love it. The cable is more durable, it's stronger, it gives you better performance, well over the original cable that came with the Core P3, but I don't want to beat this up too much. I have a lot of people that are using the original riser cable and having great results with it, just to say. A lot of it deals with the configuration, what you're using, and the components you're using with it. This guy will be the solution that you'll want in the holiday season. So we'll be having this available here very soon. Should be ready for holiday time, and of course, you can pick it right up here
Newegg.com.
at Newegg.com. So I just wanted to call that out. I know a lot of people have been asking about this, asking about options for what we can do, and this is great not just for our cases, but this actually works really good for modders and other people that are wanting to do some custom designs. I mean, this is a generic cable. It works with anything. It plugs into a motherboard, plugs into a graphics card. You can use this in endless configurations, and we're going to have additional links too. So we'll actually have longer ones here too. So if you're doing some crazy builds, look forward to this, and it'll definitely again be here at Newegg.com.
Yeah, and I mean, like versus the old styling, I like how that one looks better. It kind of looks like you have 5 massive SATA lines running into it almost.
Yeah,
It's
it gives
pretty
that,
nice.
and it's all rubberized, it's separated, and it's also got the extra plastic on there to reinforce the bending. So if you're building and doing your bending, you don't have to worry as much about the cable, and that's what we wanted to bring to everybody as well. So let's move a little bit of this stuff over here. How do we want to do this one? How do we want to do this one? 'Cause we're almost out of time. I think we're almost out of time. We're going to kind of wrap this up here pretty soon. So let's see. What do we got that? Talked about that. So
how about silicone tubes? Want to use those as straws?
There's a lot of people. We got a lot of people out there. Though.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
We got a lot of people out
We
there.
have a question from our online audience.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
What's the question?
It's from Cole W. Lockhart on Facebook. What's your opinion on the mineral oil submerged PC?
Oh, a mineral oil submerged PC. My option, my opinion, don't do it.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of prep. And then, of course, if something goes wrong, it's a lot of work to be able to remove and be able to separate. I mean, it looks cool. I mean, if you want to have a PC in a fish tank, go for it. I mean, it's your call. It's what you wanted. It's the whole DIY thing. I mean, it's just like what we bring up about our liquid cooling and, the options of what you can do. I mean, there's endless options for a lot of things. I mean, that's just a different side of the fence.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really extreme modding solution. If you are still trying to just run a PC with, like, maybe there's a case you really, really like, it's not as good of an option for something like that.
Okay, so let's see. How can we do this the easiest way? I think numbers is probably going to be the fastest way.
Yeah, I might have to go
because I want
numbers.
everybody to be fair. I don't want to have to shout out a number, right? Let's keep it fair for everybody. Okay. How far do we want to go on the numbers this time?
Looks like we got a few more people than
We got a
last
few more
time.
people here.
So
Let's see. Who wants to participate for the free keyboard? I want you guys all come up here close. So I want to make sure I get everybody in here that's paying attention. All right. So we're going to do
instead of 1 through 50.
let's do 1 to 50.
All right.
We'll do number 1 to 50. I'm going to start with the folks that have been sitting down here, and then I'm going to jump to you guys on the outside, okay? So first person to get the number right on the spot, you're the winner. If nobody gets it, whoever's closest will win. Okay,
right.
so you get the number? Got the number in your head?
Yep, got it.
Got it? Okay, start with you, sir. 39.
No.
I love that number.
Nope.
25. 25.
No.
13.
No.
35.
Nope.
Nope. 7.
Nope.
Nope. Back there? 15.
Nope.
45.
There you go.
All right.
Nice.
Congratulations, sir. Come on up.
I thought me asking when they said 25, and I was like, wait, what was that?
Yeah.
I thought that was going to give it away a little bit.
I know, I thought I was going to give it away too. Hey, you want to come on up here, man. There you go, bro. Thanks so much. We got the camera right there, okay? Cool. Hey, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the keyboard. Software is on our website. All right, guys, so I think we're getting close to a wrap.
Yep.
We doing pretty good? 9 minutes? Okay. So, yeah, again, we're here. We got liquid cooling all over the place. What's your guys' question? Online, we got a couple of minutes here to take some last minute questions from everybody before we wrap up here for our session at 2:30. So anybody have any last minute questions or anything? Oh, you want to come up here to the mic? Sorry, guys. Yeah, if you got a question, we got a microphone right here so everybody can hear.
So, how hard would it be to run 2 different pumps and intertwining the lines together?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Like a spiral or something like that.
Doing like a helix?
Yeah, but 2 different colors, running 2 different color lines. I know you have a different pump and stuff.
I think I actually bugged you about that one for quite a good bit of time.
Yeah, you can, with the tubing, so like if you took like 2 pieces of tubing like this, right? I can heat these both up at the same time and I can just start twisting them. I can actually twist them like a licorice kind of thing. You think that same kind of process. You can twist these and get your twist marks from, in the middle. So maybe you say you give yourself about this much of space where this is gonna not be cool or heated. So you got your good ends right there. You can twist that helix and then you can have this split off this way, that split off that way, and you can actually separate it into 2 separate loops. It would be possible. You might want to get the longer tubing for that so that way you have the extra length to accommodate for the twists that you do. But you'd be able to pull off a really cool dual loop, dual color helix kind of look like that. Just having the pumps right next to each other, having them, you can kind of braid them up and they kind of just like braiding hair and then splitting off. Yeah. That'd actually be really cool. Thanks for the idea.
Definitely.
I might try that.
Yeah. Or you could always twist one around a straight piece like we did yesterday, right there.
Where is it? There we go. So yesterday I took this piece and I made this cool little spiral look to it. So you get that neat little spiral kind of course, and it was super easy to do. All I did was heat from here to here, and before I twisted this, I took another piece of tubing, and look. If I can get it. Oh, come on.
Yep.
Doesn't want to do it now.
There we
Because
go.
it was actually a pretty tight fit.
Yeah.
But then I just took this and I just used another piece of tubing to make this design. I just basically DIY'd it using itself. And the cool thing about the tubing is because it takes a good amount of heat to be able to heat it up, it won't melt or stick to the other tubing while this piece is warm, where this piece is still cold. As long as this is cold and everything, I can wrap this around like that, and all I did was just hold this here. And then once I have this done, I can pull this out, just like that, and then now I got that little bit of extra length. So if I want to throw this in here like that and do a 90 in and a 90 in, boom, I got my cool little spiral piece that's not just a straight line. It looks like I did some crazy custom hand bend kind of stuff, and you can get a really neat look out of it like that. Something real simple.
Yep.
Same thing with with our RGB fittings right here too. Cool, thanks for the question. Anybody else? Any other questions
we have? Time for 1 or 2
Do we got time for any more questions online? Do we have any last ones? Okay, again, I want to say a big thanks to Blizzard and BlizzCon for letting us come out here. Newegg, of course, thank you so much for letting us here. I'm Thermal Mike here with Thermaltake to come out. Intel, Asus. We really appreciate all the big support for them for our P3 build, being able to come out here to show you guys some liquid cooling, be able to let you guys see, what we got to offer here at Thermaltake. And of course, again, you can pick it all up here at newegg.com.
Yep.
Great store, lots of products, lots of stuff available. So thanks so much, everybody. We really appreciate your time and enjoy BlizzCon 2016. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.